What's up, everyone? Just been a really hot couple of days here in Minnesota. So we already watered all this, but I'm coming back and watering it again because if you dig down in the soil with your finger, you get about an inch deep and it's still really dry. So I'm just trying to water little bits at a time and just letting the soil suck it in. But I don't know. It's gonna take quite a bit, I think.
Now we're over on the other side of the creek away from our house. This is where we have all of our watermelon, our muskmelon, and our pumpkins planted. And this heat is really taking a toll on them. So Matt brought over a barrel of water and watered them once already this morning. And he's already on the second round of watering, hoping that they kind of absorb some of this water now. So it's been our new normal to get up pretty early and get everything watered. We're trying to water quite a bit more often than we usually do. Usually like once or twice a week is decent, but it's been a little bit more often with this heat. So Matt decided he's gonna take a third trip over to the pumpkins and the melons. It's just not taking in the water like we want it to. I was out here last night picking garlic scapes. Actually, like yesterday afternoon, so it wasn't last night, but you would not know it. There are so many. They're just everywhere. I could probably cut them through and just pick all of them at this point, but I just always wait till they're curved. I don't know. Somebody told me to do that once, and that's what I've stuck to. That was just a real quick, I'll just pick these 2 or 3 here that I must have missed. If I think of it, I'll throw in a picture of how many I picked yesterday because just outrageous. When they come, they come. Just one of those reasons why it's really nice to have things planned as far as preserving food so we don't waste it. So if you watch some of our other videos, I really enjoy making pickled eggs, and the garlic scapes taste so good in there. I also will sometimes use it for like a vinaigrette. Like I will put put it in some type of vinegar and let it sit, and then kind of takes on that flavor a little bit. I will also dehydrate it and powder it for kind of like garlic powder, which is kind of tedious. And then of course like fresh cooking, eggs, stir fry, it's really good in there. But I'll also put some in the freezer. I'll just chop it up and throw it in the freezer, but you could certainly put it in like olive oil or butter or something in the freezer. Would be really good. And I know a lot of people make pesto with it, which I've never tried, and maybe I will try a little batch of that. But I don't always have the things on hand to do that. Actually, that's usually one of the things during the summer I keep on hand. I always have like walnuts and oil and salt and pepper. And then it's just usually like lemon juice, which even if I don't have lemons, I have like the bottled lemon juice, and then usually some Parmesan. But having a plan with what you're going to do with your harvest before it comes in, I think is really crucial. You're going to be far more successful. Not that not giving away a harvest is great, that's great, but the intention is to grow food for your family. So it's nice to just be able to know what I'm going to do with it. Might just be all the hoses we've got going on. Charlie, get down. Charlie, get down. Get down. While I'm in here, I think it's time. I'm going to clip up the tomato plants in here because they are that big, which is awesome. So I'm looking at this tomato plant and we have our first little blossom on it. So these are the giant crimson tomatoes. We got those seeds from Emma Gardner, and they are a super old variety that he was trying to bring back, and we only got 5 seeds. All 5 germinated, and I'm pretty sure we have all 5 plants in here, so they're all doing well. So even packed in with these carrots, so giving them a little bit of shade, I think. We do have the mullein plants outside that are starting to shade the greenhouse a little bit. But those tomatoes, I think, are going to end up shading everything in here quite a bit. We probably should get our shade cloth up as well. Now that I'm finishing watering all my herb pots, I just remembered that I wanted to move them outside today. So, there might have to be tomorrow because they'd be much easier to move before I water them. But oh well. You guys should remind me next year when I plant fennel, I'm thinking of putting just like a basic tomato cage in the pot so that this can be outside and I don't have to worry about it. But don't you think that would help the fennel just kind of grow up and not flop over? It's doing pretty good. Might have to stake it up or something. So yesterday we introduced our little hens and some little roosters that we hatched to the big chickens. And so far that's going all right. We, no, 2 days ago, it's been 2 days. Hatchet, our big rooster, has been on the defense. Kind of since we took some of those laying hens out and butchered them. He has been a little bit more defensive. So Matt or I kind of have taken over taking care of chicken chores so the kids aren't out here anymore because of him, which is a bummer. But these little ones, they seem to be doing well. They're trying to get through the fence into the garden. I'm excited to see that they came outside. Yesterday I put them over the fence to outside, and then at night when it was time to go to bed, none of them went in. So Matt and I had to come out and kind of corral them to go in, which worked fine. They did go in, and just exciting to see. I think there's 14 total, and there's 2 out here right now. Now some are certainly roosters, so we're kind of trying to decide what we're gonna do. We might end up just keeping one of those roosters. Yeah, that's kind of where we're leaning to, keeping one of those roosters, since Hatchet hasn't been that friendly as of late, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So I decided to come back down to the garden because these tomatoes need clipping up, and I've got this dry area here. Before Matt gets back, he'll probably move the sprinkler again, but I think I'm just gonna sit down and kind of try clipping some of these up. Our cherry tomatoes are already blossoming, which is exciting. We don't have blossoms on any other that I saw yet. This one looks hardy, but it's still not ready to clip up. Now, my plan for this year was to not overly prune, but if you saw, I came home with some extra tomatoes after I planted, so some of these are 6 inches apart, so these things are gonna have to be pruned heavily. Well, I got a few hooked up. Matt's gonna water the rest of those tomatoes, so I'll have to come back and do those another time. So I can't remember if I shared much about up in the greenhouse about how we were getting aphids. If not, I'll probably share more during our garden greenhouse kind of updates on Mondays. But I did pull all of our arugula because it had just been taken over with aphids really bad. I pulled all of our mustard, which we had barely used, and then I pulled quite a bit of the red streak mustard. I pulled a whole strip that didn't have any aphids issues, nothing, and thinking that would protect what was left of it. And I see there are like a few aphids on here, not nearly as bad as what was, but I'm gonna pull all of this too and just give it to the chickens. I'm gonna be pulling this lettuce. We have lettuce in the garden now for lunches. And I'm just gonna pull this because I want to kind of clean this bed out so I can get rid of those aphids. Honestly, it did seem to help quite a bit. I just watered the bed really heavy, just watered it really heavy, and that really did seem to help. Put some gloves on. I realize a lot of this is still probably pretty edible, but I'm gonna give it to the chickens. Nice little treat for them. Maybe I'll give some to the pigs. And another reason, you know, why it's nice to have those multiple areas with your harvest, because normally I would pick every last piece of this lettuce while I could, and I don't know, I got real sick of washing aphids off of our stuff. We're at the point where I was washing stuff like 10 times to get everything off. And we're talking like water, salt, vinegar, baking soda, like I was doing everything. Oh, I'm hoping pulling all this and spraying it down will salvage the newer greens that I planted, the kale and the turnips. We really like the turnip greens, so that way I have those for eggs. I've actually been pulling spinach from the freezer for breakfast, since we didn't have much for greens going on in here. If you're wondering where our kids are, they're still in bed. They have not been early risers this summer. Hey girls, hey Hatchet, you want a treat? The big girls knew what that meant. All the little ones that were out here ran. They took off. Oh, there they are back there. Can you see them? See if they come back. I'll throw a bunch more over. So I was like, ooh, they're coming up here. And then the sprinkler went by, and I think I got them, and they took off. And threw that one pile way back there. One of them's eating it. All right, let's go in before we get sprayed with the sprinkler too. What you doing, Matt?
Putting some fertilizer down. I put a bunch of blood meal already. Now I'm putting bone meal.
On our what?
Onions. And then I'll water it in. We need that comfrey to start growing so we can use that.
In good time. Matt's got the sprinkler moved over to the
Comfrey and trees.
the comfrey and the fruit trees over there now. I was trying to remember what kind of fruit. Peach and pooch. Pooch is what I was gonna say. Peach and pear trees over there. You know it's summertime when it's 8 a.m. and you're going in for the day. Sun is out, it's starting to get hot, and I heard some rustling coming from the house, so kids must be up. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and glad you got to see us again. Bye!